Painting is messy business, but you wouldn't know it from the image we see here. This young female painter gazes out at us as though taking a brief pause in her work. In her hands, she holds the tools of her trade, paintbrushes and a palette smeared with globs of thick oil paint. Her clothing seems unsuited to her task. She wears an extravagant, stiff lace collar, while more delicate lace is visible at the cuffs of her sleeves, contrasting with the heavy, rich fabric of her dress. This is the Dutch painter Judith Leyster, and she can depict herself this way because this is her self-portrait, and she calls the shots. So, what is a self-portrait? If a portrait is an image of a person painted by an artist, a self-portrait is an image of a person painted by the same person, the ultimate selfie. Like all portraits, self-portraiture commemorates the person depicted, keeps their memory present for others, and promotes a certain way of understanding them. We call the person depicted in a portrait the sitter, even when they don't sit. In the portrait tradition that emerged in early modern Europe, sitters would give careful instructions to the artist who painted or carved their likeness. Portraits were expensive, and only those of social and economic privilege had their portraits made. In this Italian portrait by the painter Raphael, the wealthy merchant Agnolo Doni dominates a distant landscape and wears costly clothing, his billowing red sleeves and bejeweled fingers declaring his wealth and prominence. It was important that one's likeness reflected their desired identity, which usually meant communicating their wealth, virtues, and elevated social status. So why would Judith Leyster want to depict herself? Here too, the issue is social status. By the time Leyster painted her own likeness in 1630, artists in Europe had been campaigning for centuries to raise the social standing of their work. Because they made things with their hands, their productions were long considered manual labor and not intellectual labor. This way of thinking, so different from our own appreciation of artists today, slowly began to change as artists, like Leyster, asserted their work as an art of the mind. See how Leyster holds her paintbrush in her right hand at an angle that repeats the angle of her collar and draws our attention back to her face? We are encouraged to see the connection between her mind and her brush, while her fine clothing tells us that she is a woman of both taste and wealth. It was rare for a woman to find success as a painter during Leyster's lifetime. In the Netherlands, where Leyster lived and worked, art making was still very much considered a man's business. In fact, she was one of only 2 women to be recognized for their art and made members of the Haarlem Painting Guild, a professional association of artists, during the entire 17th century. Self-portraiture, especially for women artists, was a way to advertise one's exceptional skills. Here, Leyster takes care to show off her range of abilities, demonstrating both her skills as a portraitist, but also her ability to paint other subjects, like the fiddler we see emerging on the canvas before her in the painting. A self-portrait like this one is an important reminder of the power of images to share ideas across time and space.